Hey YouTube, what up? Welcome back to another video. In this video I want to talk about Hazel E and her apology. Alright, so I watched this clip and I'll say right now I didn't watch the whole episode. I pretty much just watched the clip of Hazel E, her mom, and some other folks, talking about colorism and giving their, personal experiences with colorism. All right. Although I do know that, Hazel E, I guess, reached out to Iyanla Vanzant to do kind of like a Fix My Life episode where she's doing damage control over the things that she said, the negative derogatory things she said directed at dark-skinned Black women. And also, I think I've heard in this episode they talk about Hazel E being molested by, two dark-skinned women, sexually abused and molested. And I'll say that, that is terrible. But some people were saying they didn't believe it. I don't know. I'm going to assume that is true. All right. And that is something, terrible to go through, definitely. And while I'm not going to dismiss, her experience with molestation, however, for this particular video, in this particular situation, I'm not going to factor that in. And the reasons why, vary. One reason is because I feel like the experiences of dark-skinned women oftentimes usually are not factored into them lashing out, right? So if we are going to be fair, should we factor in Hazel E's personal experiences that led up to her lashing out? Since we wouldn't do that for a dark-skinned woman, we as the collective, we wouldn't do that. So that would be fair. Also, I believe that the way that she lashed out, it seemed to me it didn't really come from a place of like anger or hurt or frustration. It came from more of a place of superiority. That's the way that I took it. So I feel like while that is a terrible thing, and I wouldn't make light of something like that, I do feel like she may be throwing that out there to sort of get sympathy, but that really wasn't the reason why she lashed out, right? So for me, overall, based on the clip that I saw, based on the information that I've heard, thrown about here and there, but more so based on what I saw, did I feel like her apology was sincere? No. Because the thing is, when that first popped off, when Hazel E first popped off and said the things that she said, right? She immediately apologized to the LGBT community for the things that she said about them, because she said a lot of things in that post, and she directed it at dark-skinned women and LGBT folk. She apologized to the LGBT folk immediately. The dark-skinned women didn't get an apology immediately. As far as I know, this is the first of an apology. I don't remember an apology being released by Hazel E or her people. So why we gotta wait however many months that was? I think that happened sometime in November. And right now we're in April. About a little past the midpoint of April. So December, January, February, March. So somewhere between 4 and 5 months for an apology. Unless, I don't know, if someone out there knows of Hazel E talking about this situation before now, feel free to let me know. But if not, she could have been released a statement. She didn't have to do this Iyanla Vanzant episode of Fix My Life. You know. So that's one reason why I don't think her apology is sincere. You know, because she apologized once she noticed that it affected her bottom line, right? It affected her money, right? And Rich, she should have knew that from the beginning, honestly. I mean, isn't she like in the business? Like, a lot of folks be getting it twisted, you know. For some reason, they be getting it twisted, you know. When these like light-skinned chicks or dark-skinned dudes come out and say foul stuff about black women, you know. And I guess just black men in general, possibly too. But they kind of be getting it twisted, you know, when they be going after the dark-skinned women, because that's like a big chunk of the black community right there, you know, and a big chunk of like their fan bases, Tyrese, you know, Tay Diggs, you know, Kanye West, Lil Wayne, Kodak Whack, you know. But what do I know? All right. What do I know? All right. Another reason why I don't think that this apology is sincere is because the way that she worded her apology, and this goes for anybody, honestly, anybody who's apologizing, right? She said something, I can't quote exactly, to be honest, but she said something to the effect of, like, I apologize for what you may have felt set us back. Like, if you're going to apologize, apologize. You know, own what you did, own what you said. Don't kind of like put in a disclaimer, or like put in a little loophole or something. Like, so if someone said, well, you know, I said may have done, I didn't, you know, admit to doing something, but like if I may have done, right? Like, no, that ain't no apology. You know, and this is a bit off subject, but y'all know that show like The Real, right? It's a talk show and it's called The Real. And they had you know, that girl from Power, Notori Nonnington. She used to be in 3LW, right? She was like the dark-skinned chick that used to be in 3LW, right? And she, like, her and her former bandmate, Adrienne Bailon, were, you know, both talking on the show because, you know, Adrienne is a part of The Real. And Adrienne had said some, like, whack-ass apology to Notori that was like that. And it was, like, something to, like, if I did anything, you know, or, like, it's something like if I did anything to hurt you, or either, like, if you felt I did anything to hurt you, then I want to say I'm sorry. And a lot of people felt some type of a way about that apology. And also, I think even prior to this happening, I think Adrienne at one point or another, somebody brought it up in the comments section saying like, oh, you know, Tamara and Jeannie had told her about phrasing an apology like that, but she went on and did it anyway. That's a sidebar, but that is just in general because I don't like that. And I really don't like that. It's like, if you're going to apologize, own what you did. Don't try to, you know, give yourself like a loophole or not really take responsibility for what you did, but at the same time try and, you know, apologize but not take responsibility. That's what I'm getting at, really. All right, but back to Hazel E. All right, so that's another reason why I don't think that the apology was sincere. Another reason is because I feel like Hazel E still kind of feel that white is right. And look at, you know, Exhibit A, the blonde hair, right? And some folks gonna feel some type of a way about that, particularly some black women who rock blonde hair, but it is what it is. Well, scratch that. I don't like saying that. I don't like that saying, actually. But, it's the reality of the situation, though. That's just how I feel, you know. And I feel like in this case, Hazel E, I think that she's wearing this blonde hair to sort of like put herself in closer proximity to whiteness, right? And thus her having this white is right mentality, then those of people who are not in close proximity to whiteness, dark-skinned women, right? She possibly still feels the same way. It's not like she kind of had like an epiphany or anything, or, kind of like, got woke. I don't see that. And also, I think she probably contours her face as well. I think she may have gotten a nose job. You know, what else? And, probably some other stuff. But, those are like the major things, though, right? That signifying that in her mind, white ain't right. Well, white is right, and, black step back, you know. Also, and this, what I'm about to mention, may not be totally fair, but I'm going to mention this anyway, though. Her mother, I feel like she may have picked up some of this stuff from her mom, you know, and because before I saw the whole clip, I didn't. They said something like, "Oh, this is Hazel E's mom." I'm like, "Oh, Hazel E," and then I was like, "Okay, if Hazel E's mom here, then that's Hazel E," because I didn't recognize Hazel E at first. I didn't even know this was about Hazel E. I just thought we were talking about colorism and just, I don't know, some random ass conversation about colorism that came up or something. I don't know. You know. You know how the OWN network loves to talk about colorism. Or they love to have these conversations about colorism that end up being circular. We go all around, but we end up in the same position that we started in. Then we have this, kumbaya, possibly come to Jesus type of moment, but not even a come to Jesus type of moment. It's more like a kumbaya, you know, like at the end of the clip when Iyanla was like, "You did it for Rosa," or you do it for Rosa, and you do it for, you know, Hattie McDaniel, or whatever the hell she was talking about there. No shade to Iyanla, I don't got nothing against her, but that whole thing, I was like, oh, it seemed like the spirit of like Maya Angelou done just jumped into Iyanla, and she just, I don't know where that came from. This whole like extra dramatic moment about, I don't even think I watched that whole part. I was just like, okay, I just see, like I saw where this shit was going, so I was like, let me just skip over this. I got the meat and potatoes of this anyway. And also in these conversations that the OWN network has, led by Iyanla and maybe on occasions Oprah, like they don't ever seem to really go there. Ask the questions that need to be asked and say the things that need to be said. Like, for me personally, that's how I feel. That's why, I'll kind of, watch a little clip here and there. But, like, it's like, you kind of know where it's going to end up. Again, circular ass conversations, right? They don't really go anywhere. It seemed like they're going somewhere, but at the end of the day, you end up in the same damn position you started in. What the fuck we going to do with that? Like, what we going to do with that? Like, how are we going to get anywhere with that? And the thing is, these conversations are being had again and again and again on the OWN network, and outside of the network too, of course, but on the network, and like they all just end up basically the same thing. The whole dark girls documentary and the light girls documentary. That was kind of like the light girls, like, oh no, we got problems too, sis. And of course, light-skinned folks, Of course, I'm not going to dismiss the light-skinned black experience, light skin and, biracial black experience. I wouldn't dismiss that. But the way that they frame it is as if the problems are equivalent, like they're on par with each other, and they're not, you know. So I feel like a light girls documentary, is good, but the way that they did the documentary was like a rebuttal to the dark skinned girls documentary, and I feel like it should have just been an entity all on its own. It shouldn't have been like a rebuttal or an answer. That's the thing. Yeah. And also, like on the Dark Girls documentary, I think this is something that Dr. Yaba Blake mentioned, and I definitely understand where she's coming from. Where it's like, oftentimes they always have this like, dark skinned girls on there, be like, "Woe is me, I'm a darkie," and they don't ever show like the dark skinned girl who's like fly or either, never dealt with it, or at least maybe overcame it, right? Overcame it, and she's like the fly dark skinned chick. She got her shit together. She looked good. This, that, and the third. They just show it. It's like, woe is me. I'm a darkie. We don't need that. I do think that that is a story, definitely, but it seems like that's what they want to push out there, right? Then you got the light skinned girls over here, like, woe is me. I'm a banana. Like, oh, you think you're a white girl? Or like, woe is me. I'm a lighty. All that kind of crap. And again, I'm not being dismissive of like the fight of colorism, but it's just like the way that these are framed, particularly on the OWN network, it's just, I don't know. And then they don't ever mention white supremacy in it too. You notice that they don't ever really go there with white supremacy like that. Because they know better. They don't want to call out white supremacy, so they'll beat around the bush when it comes to that. And overall, I think when it comes to colorism, and Yaba Blake mentioned this, but it's like dark-skinned folk tend, colorism tends to affect dark-skinned people's self-esteem. If you ever notice that, the conversations, usually when it involves dark-skinned people, it tends to revolve around like self-esteem, self-worth, right? When it comes to the light-skinned folks, it tends to revolve around identity and not feeling as if they are black enough or as if they belong, right? And of course, these are generalizations. Not all light-skinned people feel as if they don't belong. Not all dark-skinned people have self-esteem issues, okay? Generally speaking, though. But to sum it up and bring this video to a close, should dark-skinned women forgive Hazel E? Yes, I do think so. Havever, that don't mean that y'all gotta start fucking with Hazel E. Okay? It just means that, okay, you just forgive her and forget her. Right? Because really, in the big scheme of things, she ain't nothing to be holding a grudge over. Honestly. She really ain't. Forgiveness is for you. I know that's a little, some folks be like, but it really is. So I don't really think any dark-skinned chicks need to be holding a grudge over Hazel E. At the same time, I think that, either, the dark-skinned girls should forget Hazel E and just, cross her off and don't fuck with her anymore. Or they should, let Hazel E show them with her actions that she really means what she says in this apology, right? So the next time some colorist black dude comes out and says something about dark-skinned women, this will be a good chance for Hazel E to show, hey, I'm down with dark-skinned women. Let me check this food. right? That would be a good way, not just that, but that's a start, right? That would be a start. Yeah. But I've gone on for long enough. Thanks for watching, y'all. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now. Also, leave your comments. Thanks.